I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. You have to begin to understand the psychology of a community like this that would let the city of New York shut this church down, sell it at auction, and not raise their voices again, even though they may disagree with what my political or biblical beliefs might be. I think a larger disagreement that we may have will be the LGBTQ, whoever they are. I'm not sure that those alphabets really mean anything, but for them to assert that I should stand in this pulpit, that community of people, whoever they are, for them to think that I would stand in this pulpit behind this marble desk and say from my mouth in the presence of God that it is right and equitable for a woman to have sex with another woman and for a man to have sex with another, to stand in this pulpit and say that. That's what they want me to do. And because I will not do that before my God, I cannot do that. I cannot. But not before my God, not standing here, blaspheming at that level. And by the way, I mean, if you want to have sex, that's your business. You want to have sex with a dog, I don't agree, but don't force me to agree with it.
That's right. That's right.
Don't ostracize me or want to see my ministry shut down because I disagree with your equity about sex. I was explaining to this young man this past, was it yesterday?
Yes.
That, you know, when people, I don't even tell the Lord about my own sexual practices. I mean, I'm not going to stand before the Lord and say everything I've done sexually should be honored in the courts and honored by other people. But the fact that the LGBTQ community, and they're the ones that are forcing and behind, and they're the ones that would have taken this church on Wednesday with a check and turned this building into a matrimony ceremony place for anybody across the world that wants to have a same-sex marriage, they would bring them to this altar just in spite of what this church stood for before they purchased it, before Wayne Greenwald was able to save us on 2 occasions. But for the LGBTQ community, and again, whoever they are, I'm not sure that means anything. I mean, they put together these alphabets, but I'm not sure that it connects with universal truth. I mean, you can call something liberal or you can call it lesbian, but I'm not sure that exists in the things that God has created. It's like a lie. It doesn't exist. But for them to then declare, and by the way, I've never mistreated or ill-treated anybody that has a homosexual tendency or has homosexual practices. I've never mistreated anyone. I've never turned anybody who has homosexual practices away from this door or away from my ministry or away from my love, such as I can give it. But there's something sick and evil in the world when a country or people decide to make sexual practices a utopia concern, a universal concern. That is to say, the highest element of one's practices and concern, that when people have sex and their methods of having sex should be put on the top rung of the roster of things to be honored. That sex itself, which is something that ought to be private, now becomes so powerful that it's above everything else. And anyone who declares that that kind of sexual practices is not just before God, in fact, condemned before God, ought to be denied the right to speech, denied the right to their religion, denied the right to own their property.